Hi folks, welcome to another BTN podcast. I'm fucking amazed at this.
Aye.
Let's start again now. Hi folks, welcome to another BTN podcast. This is slightly different to what we've been doing before. We're going to be talking a bit about conspiracy theories and why we don't believe most conspiracy theories. We'll probably go into more detail on shows, but the first one today, we're going to kind of be talking about our kind of personal kind of introductions to it and stuff like that. So Craig's going to tell you a wee bit more about what we're going to be talking about this episode, and then we'll get started.
Aye. So this episode is basically sort of the beginnings of our conspiracy theorist phase.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I call it kind of, that's how you call it. But we were pretty heavily into conspiracy theories at one point. I've said multiple times that I'm pretty sure that I've convinced a bunch of people that 9/11 was an inside job. I'm pretty sure I've done that at some point. Pretty sure the same thing about moon landing as well.
Right.
I was in so many debates about that I'm pretty sure I won at least a few of them. So there's people out there that now believe 9/11 was an inside job because of me, which is, I'm going to end up running at them at some point and go, oh shit, you're wrong now. Fuck, that's my fault. So I mention this quite a lot on podcasts when I'm talking about pseudoscience or conspiracy theories and politics and things. I think it's maybe just a thing when I'm trying to get, like, I'm trying to prove I've got some sort of credence. Like, I used to believe this and I didn't know, so I'm obviously right now. I reckon if that's exactly my thought process, but it's maybe something like that.
I think it definitely is.
Probably.
I feel a lot better about it nowadays, knowing that that was a kind of dumb phase I went through.
Aye.
So I'm thinking, like, I feel a lot better about it now that I'm actually taking the right kind of path doing research, which again we're going to talk about later on.
Doesn't mean we're right all the time either.
No, definitely not.
Definitely doesn't mean we're right.
That's another thing that's changed. We've stopped being kind of so fucking enthralled in our own sort of bullshit that we've stopped kind of thinking people are kind of lesser than us, sort of thing, a lot of the time.
I'll clarify something. When Sean Evans was in with this podcast, I said that I obviously believe that everything that I think now is correct. Otherwise I wouldn't believe in it.
Oh yeah, no.
But that's not to say that I think no one could ever prove me wrong. If I accept the fact that one of these things that I believe is right now may turn out to be wrong, that's where I differ now from where I was back then when I believed conspiracy theories. It was, if anybody thinks differently to me, they're dumb, they're a sheep, they have clearly been brainwashed by the media. Which
is a lot of the things you still see
definitely
from other people doing the same thing to you.
The only thing I've noticed different because it was like 5-6 years ago I stopped being a conspiracy theorist, like hardcore, full-time conspiracy theorist, is the word shell is coming out now.
Right.
That you're a paid shell by the government. I never heard about this before.
Right.
When I was a conspiracy theorist, because the thought of the government paying money was just ridiculous, and it seemed to be ridiculous to everybody else as well. But now it's that if you argue for vaccines or if you argue against for GMOs, that you're a shell for Monsanto or you're a shell for Big Pharma, or that the government's paying random fucking people to go on the internet and have arguments.
I thought that just meant that you'd be just a person that's like, you buy into the government's bullshit sort of thing rather than being bought by the government.
Maybe they do mean that, but a shell was something that's bought.
Because it seems like a lot of people would say shell, meaning the definition that I just said. I don't think anybody's really thinks deep down that you're being paid by the government just to lie.
There are people that have said purposely paid. Who's paying you? Right. Who's providing your...
Well, they're idiots. I'm sorry.
Of course they're idiots. They're arguing for conspiracy theories. That's the kind of arrogance that I've got now, is sort of mild, sort of dismissive things. That's the extent it goes.
That's it.
But it's not the same kind of arrogance as I had when I was a conspiracy theorist. So we've had a wee intro now.
Right.
We've spoken a wee bit shit about the nonsense that we'd like to talk about now. Let's get actually into what our background was. So you got into conspiracy theories before me. You sort of you got me involved in them. So if you
I seeded this beautiful conspiracy flower. Unfortunately, it wasn't me. It was actually our good friend Gizmo. Well, Margaret Rodriguez, well, I don't think you know.
I can who he is.
He used to work in a tattoo shop doing metal. I think he's got his own successful business in Dunfermline now, I think, as well. So, and we'll hopefully get him on the podcast at some point as well. They were talking about 9/11 and kind of the inside job. Now, I was young at this time, probably not that young, probably still in my teens, I would imagine.
What kind of teens, like 17, 18?
No, like 19, like right at the edge of the kind of that time. And then just hearing him talking about inside jobs and shit, I'd never heard that word or that kind of grouping of words before, inside job. And I had never really sort of questioned government, so I didn't care at the time. So I just kind of hear them talking about that. I was kind of curious. So they talked about zeitgeist, and they kind of put forward their own theories for certain things. And I was like, I'm going to check out about this when I get abroad. And Gizmo, to his credit, gave me, like, just said the best thing that I ever. Says, well, while you're doing that, I'm just going to be wanking off like a normal human. So that's the kind of perfect quote for him. But so I got back and kind of got deeply enthralled into the kind of zeitgeist film. Skipped a lot of the beginning part because I was already kind of not religious anyway. Not an atheist at the time. I didn't know what that fucking was.
Well, you probably were.
I was an atheist, but I didn't know anything about atheism or like what the fuck that was even.
You didn't know why you didn't believe.
I had
in
no
God.
fucking idea. Aye,
wasn't in your head.
It was a silly thing to me. So I skipped past the religion part because I was like, this is kind of fucking boring. Like he's just talking loads of like crap information and stuff.
He was talking gobbledygook rubbish fish, wasn't he?
Aye, basically, yes. Buy the t-shirt. I'll the hoodie. I'll the mug.
Be the first to buy the t-shirt.
So I got him kind of watch the 9/11 part where they put the I think they say something about like the 9/11 official story. So it's like a paragraph or two.
There was a text right.
And then they go into like all the kind of separate details, all the kind of different things. We should probably actually have that up next podcast we do when we're talking about 9/11 and go through them all. I can already have stuff figured out for that, but we should do that. So I just went through the film and I was like, wow, the government actually fucking do this. I was like, this is mental.
It's exciting, isn't it?
But it is exciting. At the time, you're like, oh, you couldn't have learned something.
Because at these points, you've watched The Matrix and you've seen Mission Impossible or whatever.
The biggest thing for me was that I've learned something new that not a lot of people can.
I was sort of being, on the outside, I'm being sort of superior to other people.
Because there was points after that. I didn't really like talking about the film that much because it's pretty shit. But I just remember like bumping into a few people and they'd be talking about certain things and they'd be like, well, actually, 9/11 was an inside job. You wouldn't have given that because you just watched the news sort of thing. You didn't watch the real news. So I came out with these things because I had expert inside knowledge, doing quotation marks here by the way, from the Zeitgeist film, and Peter Joseph opened my eyes up to the kind of to the way life actually really is, the real truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
So we've watched Zeitgeist since then.
We've watched Zeitgeist like a few times actually.
Did we get through it? Without cringing.
We actually watched it one time and came to a completely mental conclusion of how Christianity might have started, and it was like we can never remember what it was because it was fucking amazing. I wish I'd remembered that. That would have been quite funny. So I was like, "This is a breakthrough! Wow!" And that's the
problem. And it probably could have been a lot of shite as well.
And that's the problem with these films. You come to your own conclusions sometimes as well. Because there was a few times I've come up with things like my pal Andy just lives up the road. I've been up at his house a few times with the film, and I felt like I was sort of going along with it well. And sometimes with the stuff I didn't ken, just making stuff up a lot of the time, just to make it look like I knew more than what I thought.
Aye.
And that is fucking dangerous, man. There's a lot of fucking people still do that.
Oh, there's so many people that do that, and they're just blatant lies.
Aye.
They didn't even care if you point it out either. They'll just go along. Like, there's people that have got the fucking complete gall to be proven wrong at every point and still just be like, well, you're fucking stupid then.
That's a natural...
Like, really?
Aye,
really? I have disproved your arguments 14 times. Are you really still going to have the fucking audacity to just be totally dismissive?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what the fuck are you cheeky cunt?
The usual things of like, I fucking, this is what I can, you kind of watch the news, you didn't get anything, you're a fucking sheep, you're controlled.
I never used the word sheep. I never used the word
sheep, I hated it as well.
I hated that word.
But you're under control. And then there's a slight sort of, wow, you didn't get anything. Sort of, there's that fucking big-headedness that you get for being a conspiracy theorist. That was kind of, it was cool at the time as well, because I was like, yeah, I can this stuff. This is fucking unbelievable. I could not teach people, but like,
oh, I thought I could teach people.
Oh yeah,
I totally thought I could teach people. I thought I was the fucking messiah. Turns out I wasn't a messiah.
Nah, turns out you're an idiot.
I was a very naughty boy.
You're a very naughty boy. Well done.
Thank you very much.
For the good old Monty Python fans there, fantastic.
The two of them that listen to the podcast.
If you're not a Monty Python fan, you're bound to know that quote anyway. I'm
not even a Monty Python.
Exactly.
So you introduced me to Zeitgeist.
Aye.
And this was at a time, I was considerably younger. Came out in 2006, so I was 13 at the time when it came out, so I was really fucking young and really impressionable and really worried about things.
Just for a wee bit of backstory as well, we were talking about this before, like a few days ago, about you've never really sort of had a thing that you got into through loads of other people. It's always just been offcut to what I've been doing.
Skateboarding.
Like being into skateboarding and stuff like that.
Finfro.
Being into like rock music and stuff, and then you started to get into hip hop because I was into hip hop.
You were into hip hop. I got into Flowrider because I was at school as well. And then I came in saying, "Oh look, I'm into hip hop as well now." And you were like, "That's Flowrider. That's fucking mainstream pish, man."
But then
that's the fucking real hip hop. Fucking, I reckon whoever would have done it. My technique probably.
Aye. But again, that's kind of, you've been impressionable again. So I've fucking no forced it on you, but
you've ruined my life essentially.
I've ruined your life. Well, no anymore. You're fine now.
You're following me now. Like, who are you voting for, Craig? Who are you voting for? I reckon, who are you voting for, Stephen? I reckon you've not told me yet.
It's just, it's a big change, because, in fact, that's a good fucking thing to add in as well, that you've become a lot smarter now because you're able to research a lot fucking more.
I reckon why, but maybe it was because of my age and because I was so impressionable that I just went fucking mental. I went total paranoid schizo. I don't know if it was officially that, but I went totally paranoid. Just researched fucking everything about conspiracy theories that I possibly could, and got really scared about things. Like the government was actually coming after me. Like I believed the government was actually coming after me. And being like 13, 14 and believing this, that's no fucking healthy. You meant to be getting through your day when you think the government has just killed 3,000 people. Fucking what? And then RFID chips.
That was another thing that got me as well.
Paranoia out the nut.
That was a way to Poland.
Because I had just been to Florida. Been to Florida, so I just got a brand new passport.
I knew what age I was 18, because it was a few months before I was about to go to Poland.
So 18. It would have been a year before I would have been 12. So I was in Florida in 2005. So I had a brand new passport at this point. So I was like, oh shit, I'm in the fucking system. I'm being watched.
Fuck.
They've got cameras and fucking lasers on me. Oh shite. Fucking paranoid out my tits, man. Ridiculous. So fucking unhealthy. I don't think Peter Joseph really fucking understands how paranoid he can make people with this shit. Especially young people who have got idiot big brothers that let them watch these fucking terribly in-depth but terribly made conspiracy theory films.
I feel like you're talking about me, but
I'm totally talking about you.
So what was your next?
So after my paranoia, I started, as I was saying, the Messiah, and I started so fucking delusional as well, just thinking I knew everything about 9/11. Like, I was totally convinced that any argument put against me about 9/11 could totally destroy it any time, anywhere, by anybody. Fucking fully qualified scientists could come up to me and I'd be like, nah, destroy your 9/11, like, this is my shit. This is my shit, lord. Then they come against me, then they step up. Right, you'll get fucking knocked the fuck down. So I decided that I would do a talk at a high school on this subject. It was for a oh fuck's sake, I cringe to death every time I talk about this. So at high school, everybody in English has to do a talk at some point for your end of year mark thing. People were picking specific subjects. A couple. My class was quite deep actually. There was somebody talking about the death penalty, somebody talking about abortion, and then me talking about 9/11. Because there was a few people talking about cars and shit, about nonsense. And so I decided to talk about 9/11. So stood up in front of the like half a class and started talking my shit.
Talking your shit.
Oh, George Bush and Shafiq bin Laden met on the day of 9/11, and this proves that there was a link between the Bush family and the bin Laden family, which then proves that they were in on the...
Did you stand up and like you were at a podium or something like that?
No, it was like, it was just like, I think the talks were done in like thirds of the class because people didn't want to stand up actually in front of the class. So we were all just sitting around the desk. And I had to talk to these people, which I think is kind of worse for me, because you're sitting right in front of them, you're looking them in the eye. Whereas if I was standing up in front of the class, I'd be looking down at my stuff and just looking up and looking at the back of the classroom. You couldn't do that.
No.
You can't do that. You're staring at people in the eye. So I'm fighting so fucking hard to get through this shit that I believe. So coming up with these names, trying to properly pronouncing these names, coming the names now, fucking years ago. And what my talk was this the zeitgeist bit with the wall of text, and I was just my subpoints were each highlighted.
Alright, so you went through it quite fully.
Proper through it.
I'm sure we only got like 5 or 7 minutes for a talk. You must have had fucking ages.
No. I
You cut it down for the silly people.
I sped through it, aye. Yeah. I put it in layman's for the sheep, for the idiot sheep. So that was my thing that I used to talk about that. It was really a very cringeworthy thing that I done. Even the thought of it now that I went up with so much conviction and spout with all these things, or jet fuel can't melt steel beams, and fucking the guy that crashed into the Pentagon wasn't a very good pilot, and they've hidden all the security camera footage of the Pentagon crash because it was quite clearly a missile, and that's the reason that there was no plane wreck footage to really take away some of the stuff, but because it was missile parts they had to take away sharpish, and so it was like really fucking. I mean, I remember this shit. I fucking remember doing this, and it's it's painful. I still have a nightmare.
And it's just to think about it. I think the reason this actually sparked off was somebody mentioned that this would be a great idea because they've been probably talking to conspiracy theorists as well, and they come up with the same fucking things a lot of the time. So he was quite interested to find out our reasons as to why we.
Well, this
you can explain it.
First got the idea for this when I was doing the podcast, Devout Skeptics with India, where we had agreed to do a debate. A fake debate where I would argue for the side of 9/11 was a conspiracy theory, and she would argue that it wasn't. And I was like, I still know enough of the points that I think I could be part of a debate.
You could convince her.
Maybe not convince her, because obviously now that I know the arguments against it, I would just be lying.
Oh yeah.
I would be waiting for her. I would be hoping that she didn't kind of thing. That's what I'd be relying on. So I think I would win, but I think I would be doing enough to sort of show how a conspiracy theorist argues. The sort of the miss out points when they think it's going to be relevant for them. They'll sort of skew some statistics a wee bit to make it look different. They'll blatantly lie, as we've said, the total just blatant lies. And it's really a painful experience when you're arguing against that. It's fucking, and then especially if you've been there, if you argue against it now, you see them saying these paranoid things about, well, clearly you're part of the government and you're obviously in on it and stuff like that. Like, really?
Direct cop-outs, man.
Cop-outs are the worst fucking things.
Yep.
Really the most annoying things that have ever happened.
And bear in mind, if you are a conspiracy theorist, we know you're copping out because we used to do the fucking exact same thing.
Aye.
The funniest thing for us arguing with conspiracy theorists is that we know exactly what they're doing. We usually know what they're going to come up with next.
Oh, we
so
know your arguments.
I'm
we
already
have 5 chess moves ahead.
It's I've had arguments with people before, and I already kind of know what they're going to say next when I say something, because I'm like, this is what I would have said next. So,
but they'll say it with so much conviction. They'll be like,
yeah.
this is going to shut them up. Like, no, you're not saying anything that's new to me. I've heard all this multiple times. I've said this multiple times. Mm-hmm. There's nothing new coming from your mouth. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing new coming from my mouth now either, because I've been in these arguments. There's nothing new in this argument. If you didn't ken why 9/11 wasn't an inside job, if you didn't ken why some of these arguments for 9/11 being an inside job are nonsense, then you haven't been paying attention, because the conversations are always the same.
Yep.
If you didn't ken this by now, I mean, you're not checking. That's pretty much all I can say on that.
That's it.
But then, after I done this 9/11 talk, I was already enthralled in the dangerous sort of government things that had been happening lately. But then I found out about the moon landing.
How did you find out about that? Was somebody talking about it, like an extra
My English
thing?
teacher was talking about
he
it.
got you in it.
Because he had heard me talking about 9/11, and he started sort of talking about this topic a wee bit. Mm-hmm. And then he went through a couple of the conspiracy theories. I was like, I came about that one, because that one's true, man. That one's MK Ultra and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And then he said the moon landing. I was like, what? The moon landing? I thought that was real. And then he starts pointing out I reckon if he believed these, but he was just pointing out sort of devil's advocate arguments that conspiracy theorists put ahead, like the flag moving, and the shadows, and the picture taking, and I can't remember what else. But he started mentioning these things. I was like, fuck me, it's someone else. They're always at it. The government can't move with the fucking dang conspiracies. Jesus. So that was another thing. I spent about a week fucking researching the shit out of that, and got to about the same point as I got with 9/11, and 9/11 was always the thing that I knew the most about, but I got roughly about the same on the moon landing. So that's another fun topic when people bring up. It's not as popular.
No,
nowhere near as popular.
That's something that I never got into, like myself.
Nah. But there's a few people that still sort of subscribe to it. Which is,
I suppose that's always going to be a thing.
A couple of rappers. There's a few rappers like Vinnie Paz and that.
Right.
So that's fun.
Fantastic. Next.
That's it.
Alright. Well, I think what we're going to do with this wee series, you want to go through the actual topics?
Well, the first episode was just sort of your background on us believing in conspiracy theories, how we first came into contact with them, and what we started believing, and how it expanded into us telling our friends. And what we did forget about was the Beatles.
Oh, the fucking...
Me and Gary were so convinced. I first heard of this actually for Gary Bernard.
Oh, because I was surprised you'd heard about it. Because I heard about it completely randomly one day. It was on it used to be a website called Stumble Upon.
Still is a website.
Oh, yeah. And it just shows you other mental websites. And the fucking Beatles supposed documentary that Paul McCartney is a lookalike or whatever.
It was a fun conspiracy theory. I first heard about it at the tractor park. We had been out. It was about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and we were sitting at the tractor park, just sitting on the swings, because that's what teenagers do.
Just to put this forward, tractor park isn't a place full of tractors. I know it might sound like
tractor,
that. It's a fucking climbing frame tractor.
Aye, but
it's a playground park, not a tractor parking.
No, it's a tractor park. Like. So we were sitting at the tractor park,
right,
on the swings, at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, because that's what teenagers do. And Gary brought up, just randomly was like, Paul McCartney's dead. It's like, what? Is he? When did that happen? It was like 1969, man. It was on GMTV this morning, man. I think that's true, man. It's like, no, it is, man. It's a conspiracy. They've hidden the fact that he's dead and that, eh? I was like, really?
Because they thought millions of wee lassies would kill themselves because Paul McCartney died.
Could be true. I mean, teenage girls. I mean, did you see some of the backlash when My Chemical Romance split up?
No.
Well, it was people were like, "Oh, I'm so depressed."
How many died?
3, 4.
Oh shit! There was a
couple that cut themselves out.
Jesus Christ. Well, that was what the fucking music was about.
The Beatles though in the 60s.
Ah, they were huge.
There would have been a fucking everybody would be drinking the Kool-Aid that year. Is what would have happened. There would have been a fucking death cult instantly. Maybe no though. Maybe no. Maybe although saying that, it didn't need to have been true. They could have just been wrong and thought that people would commit suicide. Yeah. That would be maybe Paul McCartney is dead.
Well, there you go. That's just convinced right there.
Aye.
This is the danger of conspiracy theories. You talk about it for too long, you start convincing yourself that it's right.
Oh, I never said it was right. I'm just saying maybe it could have been right.
But as
we're
saying, the next episode is going to be about...
Alright, so the next episode is about the things that didn't convince us, like Paul McCartney. And we're going to be talking about this for a wee while. We didn't expect the first couple of episodes to go on for like hours.
No.
I mean, we've had podcasts that have been 2 hours before, but we didn't expect these to be much longer than about 30-40 minutes.
Oh yeah, be fairly quick.
These are going to be relatively quickly gone. And so first one was our introduction to conspiracy theories, how we expanded our knowledge of conspiracy theories, and the second one is the shit we didn't believe. What didn't convince us? We'll go through a couple of the funny stories about these, and that'll be pretty much it.
There you go. And the following episode?
The following episode is when we debunk sort of
some of the more famous
arguments for these conspiracy theories. You'll hear obviously 9/11 in there. Jet fuel can't melt steel beams. Chemtrails, you'll hear chemtrails. Some moon landing stuff about the flag waving. I think we're going to touch a wee bit on mere moon landing stuff. I totally forgot all the things we're going to be debunking.
That's right. Well,
we've picked a bunch that we think are quite fun to debunk. We're going to try and properly debunk them, not just going to be like a 2-second argument. I mean, we went through it when we were writing it down, and I can debunk the 9/11 ones within a minute or so. So it's quite easy today, but we're going to try and do it in more detail and sort of explain it properly. And obviously there's going to be loads that people are going to be like, well, you didn't answer this, so it's obviously still a valid theory.
Absolutely.
And there's going to be conspiracy theories that we've not touched on because we've only touched on 3. Sort of 3 main ones.
Because you forget in the conspiracy theorist's mind, if one thing's wrong, that means the thing still happened.
Aye.
Even
if we could, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 7 points in 9/11 that we're going to be debunking. One of them were wrong to a conspiracy theorist. Well, clearly 9/11 happened the way that I think it happened.
Even though you need the full story to get it to work.
The whole story needs to make sense. We could, according to logic, we could feasibly just delete one part of their story. We could debunk one single sentence in their story, and the story falls apart. But they see it like that. They see it the opposite way around. That if one sentence is left standing, then
we're all go.
Aye.
The 4th episode is basically going to be us answering questions for whoever sent questions in. So what we'll do is I'll give the details that you could send the questions in, and we'll note them all down to talk about the next time. I think we're going to try and speak to experts as much as we can as well. If there is questions that come in
that we can't
get, we'll try and speak to some experts in certain fields.
There's no real limits to this. If you want to ask us about some conspiracy theories that I reckon are a bit obscure, a bit more obscure, you could ask us about that, our opinions on certain things, and we'll be quite happy to answer pretty much anything.
That's it. And who knows, it might be a fucking few parts as well, you never know.
Oh, aye.
But to get questions in, if you go to btnpodcast.weebly.com, you could get our social networks and everything on there. If you want to find us on Facebook specifically, it's Besides the Norm. It's Besides the Norm Podcast on Facebook. If you want to get us on Twitter, it's at BTNPod. On Spreaker, look for Besides the Norm Podcast, and YouTube, Besides the Norm as well.
Just bear in mind though, that if you plan on asking a question here, then try and argue with us on Facebook.
Oh yeah.
About it, because we're not going to be, we're going to be making a purposeful decision to not talk about these until we've done the podcasts.
That's it.
Otherwise, it's going to be a bit rude.
Hold the ring back, son. Hold the ring back.
So we're not going to be arguing these things online very well.
That's it. So if you want to get questions in, you could use I'll put the links in the description as well, so it's a lot easier for everybody. Let's say, hopefully this can go well. Looking forward to it.
Totally.
That'll not be till episode 4 as well. We've got 2 episodes to get done. But that's cool. I'm up for it.
Well, cheers for listening, and we'll see you next week, I think.
Next week, will be.
Bye.
Peace.